Well, the Olympics are in full swing, and one of the most exciting storylines to follow this year, it absolutely has to be the domination of the U.S. women's hockey team. Who blanked their Canadian rivals 5-0 to open up the tournament. It was incredible. And so we've got the expert to speak about it here. 2014 silver medalist from Sochi and Chandler's own, my goodness, Lyndsey Fry. So excited to be talking with you here today on 12 Plus. My gosh. So when you look at this team and just how dominant they've been so far, things are looking pretty good down the pipeline.
They are definitely looking good, and this team is so young, they're so scrappy, they're so fast, and I think that was a real strategic decision on the Americans' part. I think the Canadians went for more of a veteran team, and look, they were missing their absolute stud the other day in the 5-0 victory. Marie-Philippe Poulin was not in that day. She is captain clutch for Team Canada, and what I will tell you, as somebody wearing a silver medal around my neck,
yes,
it really all comes down to one game, and
yeah.
you can absolutely be dominant all the way through, and it really just depends on who shows up that day. If you run into a hot goaltender, and I think it's going to be really important for the Americans, they should have all the confidence in the world, but they still got to get the job done.
There is something about watching this whole rivalry play out in a fun way that it just like brings everyone together. Something about ice hockey, women's and men's. My dad was just talking the other day about how he will never forget the Miracle on Ice, watching that in person. And I was just telling him that I love, when we had the Coyotes here, and the Kachinas, going to see a game. There's nothing like being out there and seeing you guys go to work on the ice. It's unbelievable. Do you guys feel that energy coming from, the fans who love it so much?
Oh, for sure. And I think it's something that, when we look back to when the Canadians won in Vancouver for both the men and the women, like having that home ice advantage is such a big deal. And I almost think that that's something that's going to be interesting about Milan. And there really isn't that. You have a ton of Canadians over there watching, a ton of Americans over there watching. And, I think both teams are at an equal advantage there. So it's so much fun, though. You get there, you feel the energy inside the glass. And but at the end of the day, you're focused, you're there to do a job, and you've trained for your entire life for that moment.
Yeah, well, you really have. I've seen pictures of you in ice hockey gear from the time you're like 4 or 5 years old.
Yep.
It's just so incredible. And for you to be here in Arizona, and for all the little girls and boys to see you achieving your dreams, going to the Olympics, being an Olympian, living here. How important is it to have role models like you getting into sports that maybe aren't as mainstream sometimes as others?
Well, I think it's super important, and it doesn't just have to be.
That's what it makes
so
me wonder.
What's really interesting is because my world was very small here. My parents didn't play ice hockey. My grandparents didn't play. I mean, I really didn't know what was available specifically for girls and women. So when I was younger, I looked up to the same person all the boys on my team looked up to, and that was Shane Doan, who I'm very fortunate to now call a friend. And he's the best. And so what's interesting is, like, for a long time throughout my childhood, I just thought I was going to play on the Coyotes because that's what all the boys thought.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until the '02 Olympics were in Salt Lake that I realized what the Olympics were, and that women's hockey was a sport, and that was really what I could aspire to. Later on, and I actually just was able to interview her for a podcast yesterday, I would say Angela Ruggiero really became one of my mentors, one of my idols. I've kind of followed a very similar path to her she's from California, I'm from Arizona. She played at Harvard, I played at Harvard, Olympics, and now we're both doing stuff in just the entrepreneurial space. And so she's somebody I would say I lean on more now as a mentor than I did when I was a kid, but it's so important to have those people to look up to. And I love having girls play non-traditional sports or do non-traditional things because it just shows that we can.
Very true. I mean, Lyndsey, I just feel like I was telling you a little bit before we started here, my sister is one of those trailblazers. Played baseball with the boys because at the time they just didn't have, a lot of the options for her. And she also played ice hockey, but with the girls, and she just loved it, just doing that, getting that out there. And I just feel like we've inspired a lot of little future Lyndsey Frys.
I certainly hope so. I hope so.
Okay, so predictions, you think we could take it all the way?
Oh, I think the Americans are certainly the favorites, but again, that's the crazy thing about sports. You gotta show up when it counts the most, and I do think they're going to be ready. I think we've learned from history, and I think no matter what, they're going to be ready to go.
Very true. Arizona's own Olympian Lyndsey Fry, thank you so much for joining us here on 12 Plus. So excited that you are here.